to help the audio.
Ready?
We're good.
All right.
Great. So to start off, could you please describe your organization and its mission, please?
Kids Initiative is a charity organization based in Winnipeg. We started with the mission of looking towards finding sustainable solutions for our partners in Kenya, and doing that through local fundraising and educational programs here in Winnipeg. We're currently in the process of actually developing into supporting additional developing communities, so not solely the country of Kenya, but other developing countries that are looking for assistance as well. So the idea of the organization is that we look at current programs that are already in place, requiring assistance, and finding sustainable solutions or income generating projects to be able to implement into the programs, and then bring them to a sustainable point so we can empower the communities to be able to continue on their own, at which point we then retire the programs and look for additional ones that we can support.
Awesome. How long have you known Jeff and Reagan Archambault, and how did you meet?
I've known Jeff and Reagan Archambault for, I would definitely say, over a dozen years. I don't know the exact amount of years, but we first originally met because Jeff and Reagan had sold, or I believe they had actually helped my brother purchase a home. And so it was kind of through that that I had met them. At the time, I was then also looking at purchasing my own home, and so was looking to utilize them for that as well, for the house hunt. And then when it came down to developing my own organization and looking at the first core founding board of directors, Jeff was kind of a no-brainer to go to and ask whether or not he'd be interested in coming on board and supporting the beginning stages of developing the organization.
Awesome. Could you describe their involvement with the organization over the years, and perhaps how it's evolved?
Oh. So their involvement with the organization has originally started with Jeff coming on board as one of the founding board members. Throughout the years, there's been a lot of elbow grease put into the beginning stages, developing our bylaws, looking at what our programming is going to look like, our strategic planning moving forward, developing fundraising opportunities. So Jeff, as a board member, the chair of our board, has always been part of that planning. And then Reagan and Jeff both come on as continued sponsors throughout the years. So they've sponsored different types of events or different programs that we were looking at supporting. They also I need to remember the actual date. I can't remember the year. I think it might be 2015 or 16. Just say a couple of years back, Jeff and Reagan also decided that they were going to embark on one of our developing trips to the field, and so they decided that they were going to collectively travel as a family and take the opportunity to come to Kenya and be able to see the programs firsthand. So they came on our distribution trip. They had the opportunity to see all the different programs that they've been supporting for a number of years, see it firsthand, be able to talk to the community members, get that one-on-one, face-to-face time with our partner organization in Kenya as well, and just truly experience or the work that we're actually doing directly in the field. So that was a huge opportunity both for myself and the organization to be able to have Jeff and Reagan, who've always been part of the organization and have always dedicated so much time to the organization, to be able to actually kind of bring it all to fruition and have them actually in the field and experiencing it firsthand. It's something that I have the opportunity to do year after year, to oversee how our funds are being distributed into our programs, but to be able to have them alongside and experience it as well was fantastic.
That's awesome. Does any story come to mind about their experience while they were in the field?
It's always, I feel that when individuals travel to the field and get to see the programs firsthand and have the opportunity to communicate with the members within the programs, it's always a life-altering experience. Oftentimes individuals are experiencing that level of poverty for the first time in their lives. It's also difficult to be in these programs and hear the community members talk about the lack of truly basic needs, the access to water, being able to feed their families, send their kids to school. So that oftentimes can be really difficult to experience firsthand. And so I love being able to have the opportunity to have people travel with me and experience that firsthand because of the life-altering experience that you'll leave with. I think with Jeff and Reagan, when they had came to the field, you definitely saw a lot of those types of reactions to experiencing that level of poverty and hearing the community members share their story. But I think the one thing that resonated with me is that Jeff continued to comment on the fact that a small amount of money goes so far in the field and in our programs in Kenya. And it was something that he might have been aware of previous to traveling to Kenya, but that it really resonated with him once he was there to fully understand the fact that something along the lines of $500 Canadian can fix the water piping and provide access to water for an entire refugee camp, and that's all it took. So being able to actually fully understand how far our dollar goes and why it's so important that we try and educate people about the fact that we have such a huge or access to so many resources, and that if we're sharing those, even a small amount, that it does go such a long way. And I think that night after night sitting around a dinner table and having the conversations of how our day had gone in the field and what their experiences were, those were the sorts of conversations that kept on coming up, and I think that that's likely what resonated most.
Great. Could you describe the impact that they have had on your organization?
The impact that Jeff and Reagan have had on the organization is profound. I went into wanting to develop this organization in my early 20s, never having started an organization in my life, truly having no experience in developing a business. And so their experience, having already been successful business owners and partners, was crucial to me at that time when I was so young, developing this organization to provide a wealth of advice and knowledge from their own experiences. That was a huge assistance to the organization, but then also being able to actually share our mission and be able to talk to other community members. They have such a wide reach with their career, the amount of individuals they talk to on any given day. So being able to have them act as advocates for the organization and share what we're doing with the community and find additional support was also such a huge help to the organization. Their own sponsorship and support to the organization was huge as well. And then even just post traveling to the field on the distribution trip, it's as though they came back with a complete new rejuvenated passion for the cause and truly looking to support our initiatives within our programs. So for example, right now we're working on implementing a water borehole in one of the refugee camps that they were able to visit. And so that to them becomes a personal cause that they're wanting to support because they've met the community members and they've taken it on as their own initiative to truly work towards funding that program because they know the impact it'll have. So taking all of that into account, their impact on our organization, Kids Initiative, has just been incomparable.
Awesome. And how would you describe their impact on the community at large?
The impact that Jeff and Reagan have on the community at large, again, incomparable. They never shy away from any opportunity to support the community when the ask is there. They've supported in so many different areas within Winnipeg. I mean, my organization, Kids Initiative, is a local organization that supports internationally. And that's a huge initiative to take on when you know that your donor dollars are then going abroad into another country. And so they've taken that on as something that they're willing to support. But then in addition to that, they support so many other organizations within our own community here locally in Winnipeg, everything from hospital foundations to Big Brothers, Big Sisters, to our Winnipeg Humane Society, to local events, everything down to having their own community events based in their Archibald Park and being able to bring the community together and just build those relationships. It's mind-blowing to think about the amount of organizations they support and the impact they have in the community at large in Winnipeg.
How are we for time? You said
So I've got 7.5 minutes left on mine.
great. Could you can you think of any evidence of Jeff and Reagan's perhaps they're having inspired other people to give back like they have?
If I think of when I think of how Jeff and Reagan inspire others to take on the initiative to support, I actually think of their kids first and foremost, because of the fact that they have taken on so much and they support the community at such great lengths. They've become the most amazing role models for their own children. And being able to, I mean, I can speak from my own personal experience of having them travel to Kenya with Kids Initiative and bringing Zach and Abby and having them actually experience those programs and communicate with the community members there and be able to share in that life-altering experience with them and be able to come back. We had Abby and Reagan speak at our gala the following year about their experience traveling to the field, and Abby spoke just as well and clearly as Reagan would, and you can just see that Jeff and Reagan are an inspiration to their children, but you can see the path that they're carving for their children and that it's a positive one where you're always looking out for other community members and not just solely for your own success, but the success of others and ensuring that everyone has the same level of resources and the same opportunities as everyone else.
So nice. Okay, complete this sentence with one or more words. Jeff and Reagan are.
There's so many. That's really hard. I would maybe say Jeff and Reagan are phenomenal philanthropists and advocates.
That's great. Is there anything else that you think the world should know about them?
Um, hmm. I feel like the majority of what I've shared kind of sums up who Jeff and Reagan is. I guess the only other thing is just to really hone in on the fact that Jeff and Reagan are such compassionate, empathetic individuals that are always so willing and able to support their family, their friends, their community, and not just the community locally, but the community at large globally on a global scale, that it screams out the level of compassion and empathy that they do truly have.
Awesome. That's so great. You've given us a lot of great stuff.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Mine's a little dated now.
What are you shooting with?
Oh, 90? DR90, I think it is.
Okay.
It's probably about 5 years old now. I like my nifty 50.
Oh, yeah?
Zoom with my feet.
Yeah, the human zoom. Could you say a couple words, Sean, please?
Yeah. Today is Friday and it's still cold out.
Very good.
We've been told you've been in a bit of a cold snap.
Yeah, this is warm. It's almost tropical now, so I'll probably be in shorts and t-shirt on the weekend.
We're ready.
Awesome. Okay, so my first question would be, how long have you known Jeff and Reagan, and how did you meet?
I've known Jeff and Reagan now for about 7 years, and met just in our community of Transcona, which is in the eastern part of Winnipeg. It's a very vibrant community, and they've been very active in the community. So at some of the local openings, they were omnipresent.
I know this is a difficult question, but could you kind of paint a picture of like how deep their involvement goes in the community, like what you see them doing?
Mm-hmm. Well, Jeff and Reagan, over the last the 7 years that I've known them, have been very instrumental in supporting local community projects, initiatives. Jeff's been very active in Rotary for a number of years. Actually pulled me into the Rotary organization because he's so passionate about it. They've lent themselves to community park projects, assisted with naming rights to help realize very significant projects in our community. We have the Archambault Pavilion in downtown Transcona that they lent themselves to in, I think it was early 2012, 2013 timeframe, that helped revitalize the downtown Transcona area with a very beautiful public art exhibit.
Cool. Could you describe the impact that these actions have made on the community?
Well, it helps with community engagement. Jeff and Reagan have been very good at getting people together for various projects. The community center revitalizations, they've lent their name and their ability to pull the right people together to help grow the community. They've been very active in those respects for the last several years.
And why do you think that is? What do you think motivates them?
Well, I think what motivates Jeff and Reagan is that the will and want to give back. they've got a multitude of lived experiences that I think they want to see better for the community. They've got two young adults, I will say, as children, and I think they want to make sure that the community that they live in and you know, play in is good and you know, well heeled for the future generations to come.
Do you have a story you could tell us about Jeff and Reagan going above and beyond, or you know, an anecdote you could share?
Jeff and Reagan going above and beyond. That's just about every morning or night of their day. They're always giving 110%. I know it's overused, but they are the Energizer bunnies when it comes to getting out and getting stuff done.
It's incredible. I don't know how they do all that they do. Could you describe their partnership?
You're referring to a relationship?
No, I mean like how they work as a team.
Them working as a team is like the yin and yang effect. Reagan is the gregarious individual and Jeff's more the reserved personality until you get to know him, and then he's a little more outgoing. But they definitely complement one another in every aspect of their life.
Have you seen any evidence of Jeff and Reagan inspiring others to follow their lead?
Well, I think you can just look at how they go about their daily life in the community, in their business, and how I think you find a lot of people in the industry probably replicating what they're doing as part of their successful mix of both community engagement and business persona.
Okay, this is a fun one. Complete this sentence by adding one or more words. Jeff and Reagan are.
I'm going to have to pause on that for a second.
Take your time.
That's a tough one. I would see Jeff and Reagan as more of a model for people to look at when they're looking to see where they are today and where they want to be tomorrow. They definitely set targets and do everything they can to reach those targets. And they generally, look at regularly is that they surround themselves with people that are like-minded and able to accomplish similar goals.
Great. Why do you think they deserve attention for their good work on a national stage?
Well, I think Jeff and Reagan's approach to getting things done is something that I would hope that other people in the country could look to as ways that they too can be as engaged and focused, not only on their business approaches, but with regards to balancing that with the community needs. You know, as we have growing communities, the needs grow as well, and they do their best to try to find the balance in all those aspects.
Is there anything else you think the world should know about them?
Jeff and Reagan do have a 23-hour clock. I think that they work on it. I don't know when they find time to sleep, because they obviously are complementing each other for getting things done at all hours of the night. They're generally always accessible, and that takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of focus to get to where they're going and where they want to be.
Yeah. Where do you think they want to be?
Well, the world is their oyster. I think the sky's the limit kind of analogy might apply to them. Jeff has been a good friend, and Reagan as well, and whatever they're looking for in the future, I don't know if Century 21's for sale, but maybe they can be the top tier of their organization or wherever their hopes and dreams want to take them. I don't think there's any limit in where they can go.
Is there anything else you want to share?
Offhand, again, I've known Jeff and Reagan for many years, and, you know, their commitment to our community has been inspirational. And it's definitely somebody that I would not want to lose to another community, because they are a driving force in our community.
Awesome. You've given us a lot of really great work, stuff to work with. At this point,
I have to ask, so never really talked to him about it.
Him we like.
Oh, and is everyone's phones off by chance?
Yeah, mine's in my pocket way all the way back there, so.
Sarah, we're
would
good.
you like to check? Or-
Probably a little better. It's a stupid ring to it.
Oh, of course, now she's got me double thinking myself, so.
Good call. Don't want the Star Wars thing coming up.
Is it the Star Wars team?
From one of my kids, it is.
I forgot it's game day, so I'm gonna get tweets from the Jets and the NHL all day long, just preparing for tonight, so good reminder to turn that off.
Okay.
We're good?
Excellent. So, to start off, would one of you please describe the Concordia Foundation and its mission?
The Concordia Foundation was established 35 years ago to serve the needs of the Concordia General Hospital at the time. In the meantime, the Concordia campus has grown to include numerous areas of healthcare, including a hip and knee research, personal care home, residential care home, plus acute care hospital. The foundation has had its mandate and its mission to support all the needs of this community, which sees thousands of people every year and serves the Concordia community, which is a growing neighborhood of which Jeff and Reagan are vitally a part of and have helped grow this neighborhood. So they've grown up with the Concordia Foundation.
Great. Could you describe Reagan's involvement over the years?
Well, Reagan Archibald has been one of the driving forces behind our annual signature event, the Gala. She started off as the chair about 5 years ago. It was a bit before my time. And then she joined the actual board of directors 2 years ago. And she brings a real sense of flair, commitment, compassion, and she forces us to do our best. And I think what's great about the way Reagan brings our community around and our committee around is it brings out our best side to creating this event that has heart, compassion, and raises a lot of money for the cause of the year. So that's been her driving force. Plus, she's always there when you need her for something. You can always call Jeff or Reagan for just about anything you need, like a moving truck to help move things for an event, or some advice, or open a door. She's just that go-to person.
Excellent. Is there anything you'd like to add, Sean?
Well, I just like to say for the short time that I've been with the foundation, one of the first things I did was our annual gala. Last year was my first one, and Reagan was a great help to me, getting my feet wet and making the connections of what we need to do to pull off what was our most successful event to date. It was absolutely fantastic and really did a lot to bridge ourselves even more into the community, which was absolutely fantastic. We reached out and saw a whole new clientele of people, well, not clientele, but a whole new group of people come through. And what made that so great is, again, it just expands, and more we're reaching out, and Jeff and Reagan have been instrumental with that in their industry and what they do for housing. But for us, it was just great to bring in more people and expand. It was perfect.
I read in the nomination package for Jeff and Reagan that there's a hospice room that opened thanks in part to Reagan.
Well, one of the projects last year that the foundation undertook on behalf of the Concordia Hospital was Comfort Care. It's a bit like hospice, but we have dedicated 5 rooms, and we'd like to expand this program even further, for people who are ending their life in a private, dignified, caring atmosphere. So we undertook to restore and renovate and refresh what was a sterile hospital room into a home. And this really got the attention of Reagan, because what their business is home, making a home. So we've been talking with Jeff and Reagan for about a year on how they might want to dedicate one of those rooms. So it turned out we had one more room left to go, and in this program, there's room for family. There's a pull-out couch. There's a fridge. There's a microwave, and all that stuff sounds, well, everybody has that, right? But when you're in a hospital setting, you don't necessarily have that, like the privacy, the dignity to spend those last few days with the loved ones. So as the story started to come out from people who have used these rooms, the family members who said our last days with our loved one, our mom, our dad, were the best because we could actually connect. This really touched people's hearts. So Jeff and Reagan have dedicated the last room for this campaign. They helped us put the campaign over the top, and they are dedicating this, I believe, to one of their family friends who's had an impact on their lives and who had passed away at the hospital several years ago. So I give them a lot of credit for really being a champion and advocate for this program, not only through the gala, but through their own personal commitment.
Great. Could you speak to the impact that Reagan has had on your organization?
Well, speaking just in terms of the events and the community outreach, the impact has been incredible. When you're always out in the community and trying to do the best for the community, it really shows, not just for us, but you can see it everywhere. As Sue mentioned earlier, you can see the impact of what they do all around where we are, and that translates a lot to what happens at the hospital, what happens with our events, the people that come out and want to be a part, because they are well known and well respected. It helps bring the interest of a lot more people towards, and the more that we can see that, it benefits and helps us champion all the causes that we need to do. So it is fantastic and a great pride and pleasure to have them with us and working with Concordia, because it's really done a lot for us as well to provide more for the people that are in our community.
That's great. And I know you touched on this already a bit, but could you speak to the impact they've had as a team on their community?
Well, I could speak to their corporate social responsibility. I mean, it's a buzzword. A lot of people these days talk about it. A lot of companies talk about it. I kind of think they invented it almost, especially in the Transcona and the Concordia area. They've been quietly doing this all along as realtors. They've been quietly all along talking about home. It's not just selling a house, it's a home. So this corporate social responsibility was almost embedded in everything that they've done. Now, as the firm has become larger, they've brought on more people, you can see there's a whole ethos. There's just something you just do. I don't believe that they have a policy or procedures manual for this. I'm not sure you could and do it well. A lot of companies can, but they've managed to just quietly do this and put their mark on the community. And as we had mentioned earlier, that they seem to be the go-to people for things. So I would say there's an ethos, there's something embedded in everybody that works with them. It's that corporate social responsibility says we're giving back to our community social responsibility.
Fantastic. Do either of you have a story of what Reagan has, of something she has done that kind of illustrates that spirit, kind of anecdote?
Well, I guess part of it, when we were putting together pricing for our silent auction for the gala, which is always a big piece of what we do to raise funds and try to meet our goals, for as simple as a task as that may seem, it's not, by the way. It can be a very stressful thing. Seamless, and she thinks about it in terms of about the people coming in, what's going to be appealing, what's going to work, what's going to draw interest, but what's going to make people happy. And doing it for just something as small as that, you can see that translating to everything else that they do. So it's not just a one-off thing. It grows from even just the smallest piece all the way up, and you can see that through everything. And with that, I mean, it was just amazing to watch and be a part of. And with that, I mean, when it was all said and done, we had a lot of great response. People were happy, big smiles and whatnot. And it's a great sense of pride, and it's great to see. And again, just to know that it's not just one thing. It's throughout everything that they do.
I would say it's the customer experience ethos that translates from being the kind of business people that they are. Everything was about the guest experience, and we were able to team up quite well with that, because that's what the foundation's about. So there's a million little things you could say, but if I would sum it up, it would be that guest experience, the customer experience, and then how did that translate into the overall good for what we were trying to do.
It's a people-first attitude without feeling that none of it's been scripted. It's very natural. And that, I think, is what is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, getting that sense. Okay, here's a fun one. Complete this sentence by adding one or more words. Jeff and Reagan are.
The community.
Well-known, a brand.
Mm. Is there anything else you think the world should know about them?
They care.
Yeah, I think, again, it's just, if you really want to know how to interact with the public and how to be one with the community, don't look at a book, don't read it in a manual. See these two, watch them in action. It's just, again, it's that seamless transition from one thing to another, where you could do a training manual on this and just follow them. So to everyone who's looking for how to really get in touch with the people around you, talk to them. It's a great place to start.
Awesome.
I could also add that they're advocates, and that goes beyond donating money or volunteering. The advocacy, and one example of advocacy is how they have brought on another board member to us who's proven to be just invaluable, and a real partner and a real team member with all of us. And I just can't say enough good about that, because this person we would have never known in a million years. But their advocacy and their ability to bring and gather people together is something that seems very natural to them, but it's hard to find in this world.
Great. Anything else you'd like to share? We have a lot of great
Go
stuff
Reagan.
here.
No, I mean, again, I think we've got everything there. I mean, it's really, they're people.
The paper, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, can you repeat what you were about to say?
Oh, sorry, I just said, if there's one last comment, I mean, again, they are people first, but they also think people first, which is something that it's very hard to come by in this day and age. You see the world is going in a different direction in some spots, but they're not going that direction. They are still keeping focused on what is important, and that's me, that's you, that's everybody else, which is, again, just something that doesn't happen very often anymore.
So true. Great. So I think Colin's going to check.
Once we're at park for broker days, they were really parked for a longer period, so.
Well, is everyone's cell phone off?
Yeah, they're on there. They're on vibrate.
At your leisure.
Okay, great. So I'll start with a few softballs. Not that the later questions are, you know, going to be grilling. But could you just start by introducing yourselves and where you work?
I'm Jeff Archmo. I'm with Century 21 Advanced Realty.
You gonna say how long you were there or anything? Do you want us to introduce like for both of us together or each individually or?
Either is fine. We probably won't use this
Yeah, just-
particular.
Okay.
It's
Reagan
practice.
Arsham, yeah.
Could you bang on that side, just back up it, there you go. Yeah. And lighting from that side creates a bit of a shadow there.
There, I tucked it. Better?
Yeah, thank
Okay.
No, don't move.
Yeah, don't move, don't flinch. Yeah, we're Jeff and Reagan Archambault of Century 21 Advanced Realty.
Awesome. How long have you been realtors?
I've been doing this is my 29th year now, I've been a realtor.
And this is my 12th year in the business.
How and why did you get into the business?
I kind of fell into the business. It wasn't my first choice of a career, but you know, things happen for a reason, and very happy that it happened this way. So.
And I'd had a more traditional job before this, and we had waited till both our kids were school age before I joined him in the business, which really changed our approach in the business from this is our job to this is our business. So.
I'll just get Jeff, if you can answer, Sarah.
Pretend.
Yeah, I don't exist.
Yeah, so I don't know where
No,
I
I
should.
think I saw you just doing back and forth.
Yeah, so
we'll
just-
keep your attention.
Okay, sounds good.
Even though I'll be flinching and
Yeah.
snapping my fingers.
Okay.
What makes you such a great team, do you think?
I think we're a great team because we both have the same goals. We're both after the same things in life now. It was different when Reagan was in a different career, but now we both have the same goals that we're working on together.
I think we really balance each other well. We have different strengths in different areas. We have different personalities and different approaches to things. So even though we have a common goal, we balance each other in ways that, to kind of fill in where someone else is maybe stepping off.
What's your favorite part about being a realtor?
Just pull that aside. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Sorry, Sarah.
No.
My favorite part about being a realtor is, when your client gets that house that they've always wanted or they dreamt about, or it's where they're going to have their family grow up, and it's the community that they wanted. It's more of the relationship building than actually the transactional part of it. So.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree.
It's clear that you both care deeply about your community. What makes Winnipeg so special to you?
For us, it's home, and it's community. The community has been very great for us, and we always feel like we should give back. We need to give back to our community, and step up. We got to help each other out.
We all know, as not only as a realtor, but just as a community member, that you don't just buy a home. You're not just buying 4 walls and a roof. You're buying into a community. You're investing into a community. We're all parts of a community, no matter where we live. So, when we see a need and can step up and be a part of that, we see that in so many different respects, from people who step up and coach their kids in the sports, who come together in so many different ways that it truly takes a village to do really anything in a community. So to see that in so many different aspects of life here in Winnipeg, we love being a part of that.
Was there a particular moment or event that first inspired you to start giving back?
The major event was we were in a car accident in 2007, and we hit a deer, and the car was totaled, and I ended up headbutting the deer, and then the insurance agent, or the MPI insurance person, the adjuster, sorry, said, when I saw pictures of the car, and you guys, and I've seen many accidents, you guys are very lucky to be alive. And so that's one thing, is like, we don't know when it's going to be the end for us. So it's just like, let's just start giving it away now, sort of thing, giving our time, our money, and everything like that. So our financial advisor said, well, you guys are doing it wrong. Like, you should make the money first and then give it back. It's just like, no, like, we got to do it now, sort of thing. So
Our business is such a fickle business, right? You, as a realtor, you start every year at 0. You have no idea what your income is going to be. You start putting things out there and hope the phone's going to ring, right? Which always makes a person creative budgeting. But we are blessed to be in a position that we've been able to work hard in our careers to be in a position to be able to help and to be able to give back. And we don't know that that's necessarily going to be a forever thing. There's so many different things that drive the market, that change the market, that can change and affect how we do our business and the level of business that you can do. So there may come a time in the future where we're not able to help quite as much as we do now, so we do it now while we can.
And then there's one time called up our city councilor in the area and said, we want to get back to our community. We want to do something for the neighboring park. So we set up a meeting, comes in thinking like, okay, they're probably going to want to maybe give a $5,000 slide or donation for a slide or something like that. So I told him like, we want to donate $150,000 towards the park. And he goes, well, if you do that, we're going to name after you. Well, that wasn't our goal in that, and Reagan goes to me like, we don't have $150,000. It's like, I know, but now we have a goal, so let's do it. So it's, set the goal and work at it.
That's awesome. How do you juggle your careers and all of your charity work and your family life?
It's one of those things where you want to get something done, you give it to someone that's busy, and it just like our schedule is packed, and our kids are very understanding with that. A lot of times we'll book a dinner or an event or something like that, and they'll understand like, what, we can't make it. They're like, okay, maybe next time sort of thing. But it's hard sometimes, but with their understanding, it definitely helps, and that helps that we're both in the same business, that we understand that as well together.
Work-life balance is something that I think as realtors we all struggle with. We always are flying by the seat of our pants with the hair on fire in general. So like you said, need something done, ask a busy person. You just find a way to do it. It's about setting priorities. And some days are different priorities than others. Some days you've got something, and your children are just going to be your family is going to be the most important thing that day. And other days, other times during that day, something else is going to have to shift. So you do your best. We don't always get it right. Sometimes you fail, and you learn a little bit from every time. You make those decisions, and you try to do better next time. You also have to learn sometimes to say no, which can be tricky. Sometimes you just have to learn to say no, and you just set those priorities, and you do your best.
So here's the tricky part. Talking about all of the charities and causes that you guys are involved in. So how would you sum up or kind of describe that body of volunteer work?
2 words: a lot.
If you could give a shot at listing or going through the different organizations you're involved with or have been involved with,
I can start on this one.
the different roles that you've played.
I think to a large degree, a lot of the work that we've done in our community has stemmed from our needs around our family. So, as we were first starting out, our children were involved in sports. We stepped up to be a part of our community center. And I think a lot of people, they think getting involved with your community needs to be some grand gesture or being able to write that big check. And we've been blessed to be in a position sometimes to be able to fill that role, but quite often it's just being that voice at the table, sitting on your community center board, sitting on your parent advisory council at the school, and just having an opinion, having a thought, chipping in where you can. And so a lot of those organizations that we've been a part of have been part of that family life from there. Other organizations have spoken to our hearts in terms of where our passions lie. We see a need in a community, something that seems to make a lot of sense. And for a lot of the organizations, something like, for example, with Kids Initiative, the organization in Kenya that we've been a part of working with, the part of that really spoke to us as business leaders and as donors was the sustainability piece of it. That it's not just here's a check into a black hole, that there's that sustainability piece, that we're helping people get to a threshold where they can be self-sustainable and help these people get to a new platform in life. When we see with the Concordia Foundation that there is a specific need in our community, that we can come alongside other members of our community to fill that, and that is going to be helping people for years to come and helping families come together in those tender moments you know, saying goodbye to a loved one, that's something that we can all relate to, and it made sense for us to be a part of it. There's no question that we get a ton of requests to be a part of all kinds of different organizations, and as much as you'd love to say yes to everything, you can't. And so there's certain things that just really step up to who we are as parents, as a family, and as business leaders that just make sense, that connection.
And when I first got in the business, like 29 years ago, I was always afraid to make money because, you know, I saw the top flying realtors making tons of money, driving their Porsches and BMWs and stuff like that. And then when we realized, well, we don't have to be like that. We can just give the money away, give our time, give our money. And our goal and with everything is to try to encourage people to do the same. That's, you know, what we hope with this award that we get, that it encourages other realtors to do the same. And that's with our scholarships that we offer every year. We give to the students that are giving back to the community already. We hope that, you know, this rewards them, that, you know, for them to give back already, and hopefully that carries on in their profession as well.
That was a great answer to a hard question.
Yeah.
So I read
I'm
somewhere,
paranoid
I
about the
think,
sweater now.
likely your nomination package, that you're fostering a spirit of giving at your office. Could you speak to that a bit?
We just took over as owners just over a year ago, and we set up a day last year with a coffee table to serve breakfast and trying to bring that sense of community to the whole office together. We want to do more of that, and just make sure that it's important to all of our agents that do that, that they do this. Encouraging them, you know, first thing, we just started a team. First thing we told them that they have to get on some boards and they have to start giving back. Like, that's part of our team philosophy, I guess you can say. So, and we're slowly trying to build that into our office atmosphere as well. So.
We encourage the agents too, the agents in our office, that if there are organizations that are near and dear to their hearts that they would like to step up and be a part of, that, you know, we can come alongside them and help, you know, encourage that. So it's a topic of conversation that comes up regularly, both in one-on-one conversations with the agents and also as a regular part of our staff meetings and our office meetings.
Great. What are you most proud of when it comes to your charity work?
This is apparently the tricky question. You thought the other one was.
Yeah.
For me, it's the thanks from the community. Like, you know, we put on a park party every year in our community park, and you know, every year I'm just like, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of money. I don't know if I want to do this again. We're at somewhere yesterday, and the gentleman said, you know what, that park party you put on every year, like, that's amazing. That's so great for the community. My grandkids love it. My neighbors love it. So I just like, you know what, we can't give this up. You know, so it's that seeing people appreciate it, really, you know, really makes it a difference in the world. Just like with you know, the Kenya project that we're involved with, seeing the, you know, when we went and visited Kenya, seeing how this, in our minds, is not very much, but to them it's the world. It's life and death for them, and seeing how that changed their lives and how proud they are of, and how thankful they are of, you know, the help that we've given them. It just, you know, helping others. It's about that.
I think when it comes to, you know, all the different things that we've been involved with, I feel the most pride when I see people really using that benefit for whatever it has been. When I see the community out enjoying the spaces that we've helped create, when you see families using the park and knowing that now having that space to come together as a community is such an integral part of their day-to-day lives, knowing that we had a hand in creating that, that's pretty cool. I definitely feel good about that when we see that, when I hear grateful patient stories from Concordia Foundation, that they're so grateful to have this space, that it was such an important piece of saying goodbye to their loved ones, you know, that we helped create that space for them, that wasn't there for them, that would have been a void for them before. Knowing that we had a hand in that, that's something that feels really good. So, and it certainly encourages us to want to just keep going and keep doing more.
Yeah, to get a random call from a grandmother, that's in the park with their grandchild and just saying, you know what, I just want to thank you for what you've done to the community. That makes it all worth it.
Yeah.
So you touched on I think it's referred to as the Comfort Care hospice
Yes.
room. Could you dive into that a bit deeper, kind of tell us the story in a bit more detail?
Yes. So at the Concordia Foundation, we came to realize that there was a need for a space in the hospital where sometimes someone's going to be admitted to the hospital and they're not going to be coming home, and that their last days will be spent there. In those last days and those last hours, we've all been there, whether it's a grandparent, aunt, uncle, or mothers or fathers, heaven forbid, our children, that those are important moments for a family. To be limited to visiting hours, to only being able to be there for a certain time, is really not kind of conducive to that moment. So at Concordia Foundation, we saw that there was a real need for a comfortable space in the hospital where that family can stay together, can be together, have a little bit more room, and it's very much a homey environment. It's not that kind of cold clinical hospital environment. And all of the hospital staff then know that when someone's admitted into that room, they immediately know what the situation is and can act accordingly with that extra bit of compassion. So when we first heard about this project, that there was going to be a select number of rooms in the hospital and that it was going to be completely community funded, this wasn't going to have any government funding, that this was something that the Concordia Foundation really wanted to be able to provide, we immediately saw that this was a great fit for something that we wanted to be a part of, and we're one of the first families to step up and to sponsor one of the rooms. To hear some of the stories from the families, that knowing that they were able to spend those last hours, those last times together, and those memories, that rather than it being certainly it's still sad, but rather than it being this heart-stricken sorrow moment, is bringing joy and bringing compassion together. And it was a really special project that we were very, very proud to be part of.
Wonderful.
Restart.
Forgot to press start.
Yeah,
Start
we
over.
gotta do it all over again.
Oh,
Joys of technology.
Ran out of film.
Ran out of film.
oh, that happened. Very good, thank you.
Ready to go?
Good.
Okay. So you touched on your trip to Kenya. So if you could kind of dive into that topic and tell us the story about that in more detail, that'd be great.
About the trip, or
Yeah, and how it came about.
with our trip to Kenya, I'm involved with the charity Kids Initiative since before it was a charity. The founder, Kat Ross, she approached me right away and just gave me this vision that she had, and I got on board with her right away. And at first it was just okay, we're giving money to Kenya, and it's doing well, whatever. But it came to our opportunity to go to Kenya to actually see the projects happen and and see the work that actually being done there. So we're okay, let's do this. So I came home and talked to Reagan, hey, we're going to go to Kenya, and she's we wanted to go there as a couple because it was it'd be a great experience, and then we're okay, we got to bring our kids as well to make sure that our kids can experience this as well. And once you get there, it's just it's amazing how little does so much there, and how appreciative everyone is for the little bit, or the for them it's just massive contribution that we're coming with, the funds and everything like that. It's just the. Sorry, I'm just getting a little mixed up here.
Take your time.
Yeah.
Start again or just continue on
Yeah.
whatever.
suffering part. It makes you realize that we have enough to share. We don't necessarily, we can't do everything. And, you know, sometimes you think it's always these huge grand gestures, and sometimes it's just the smallest thing is going to have such a massive impact. And we're blessed to be in an opportunity to have enough to share.
And just to know that, you know, it's life and death for these people. The one community that we're helping, there's close to 7,000 members of this community, and we're able to give them a sustainable project that once we can get this project on the go, that they can survive now without our help. You know, that's the major thing for us with that is sustainability. We don't want to have to keep giving them checks every year, and you know, now that they have this, the one project we did was an irrigation project, and you know, they have enough food now to feed the kids at school. Before, the kids would have to go home for lunches, and a lot of them wouldn't come back, you know, so, and a lot of them wouldn't have food at home, so they wouldn't go home. So now every day they get at least one meal a day, and you know, their education is now going to be improved because of the food that they're getting, and it increases their chances of survival and for being very productive citizens of their own country. So.
You mentioned at lunch meeting some pretty incredible people. Could you share that aspect of your trip a little bit?
The people that we met in Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just everyone in Kenya was just amazing, and they're just so grateful that we actually came there, and for the founder of the organization to actually come back and make sure that that these projects are fulfilled. The one person that I didn't realize that we were Facebook friends before I got there, and so he was touring us along, and you know, we're cutting the ribbon of this irrigation project, and he goes, you know, introduces himself. You know, I'm Leonard. I'm from I'm your Facebook friend. I'm like, okay, like this is really cool, and you know, it's neat to have that connection still of that project. And you know, just a few weeks ago, he sent me an update of, you know, the water situation and how the community is doing, and so it's that that connection. You know, we're a world away, but we still have that connection. We can still chat daily, and you know, make sure that they're doing okay, and see what they need, and you know, help them moving forward.
And they're proud and excited to share the success stories with us too. They want to make us proud. They want to fulfill their end of the bargain, right? So it's so great to get those success stories back firsthand. And
when we were in Kenya, we took a visit of their community, and we visited a lot of their homes, and they don't have very much. You know, they have a 300 square foot mud hut, literally a mud hut. And you know, they invite us in. Do you want food? Do you want tea? What do you want? You know, it's just amazing how little they have, but they're very happy and very proud, and very thankful for the help that we can offer them.
It was funny being in a 300 square foot mud hut, and they're asking, "Are your homes like this in Canada?" No, they're a little different. How? And then they would ask, "How many wives do you have?" And he would look over and say, "Just the one." That's enough. Yeah, there were some really great moments as they were so curious to learn about our lives here in Canada, as we were curious to learn about their lives in Kenya. So there was some really great just human bonding stories back and forth, for sure.
See. So, what advice would you have for other realtors looking to give back to their communities?
One advice I'd give to other realtors is just do it. Just, you know, it's the more you get back, the more it's going to come back to you. I really believe in karma, and a lot of what's happened, the good fortune that we've had, is because of good karma. We don't do it for the recognition. We don't do it for the awards. We just do it because it's the right thing to do. And we hope by receiving this award that other realtors will hopefully feel the same way, and just do it and just give back to your community. It's so important.
We've been completely humbled just learning more about some of the other nominees for this award and all the great things that they're doing. We hear so many stories and have so many friends and colleagues right across Canada from one end to the other that are actively doing so many great things in the community. And it doesn't always need to be this huge grand gesture. It can be something as simple as stepping up to help your child's sports team, to be involved in your parent council, to see a need in your community and just pick up a shovel and help. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's time, sometimes it's that sympathetic ear. But step up and get involved, because it comes back to you in so many ways, and every single time it's worth it.
What keeps you going as volunteers and charity advocates?
Wine.
It's one of those things, like when you bring something on as like your baby, you don't want it to see it falter, so you want to continue with it. President of our community center, and I've been heavily involved with it for the last 5 or 6 years, and I don't want it to see, like, we've gone so far in the last 3 or 4 years. I want to take it to the next level, and I want to bring other community members on board and have them get involved as well. And just let's do this as a community. Let's build this community center as a team and as a community. You want to see things. You want to see things through. So
I would say the most joy we get out of all of the different projects that we've been a part of is seeing the impact that can have on other people's lives. When you see a community come together to enjoy a space, and they're so grateful for it, and they love having that space there, knowing that you had a hand in it, that's very motivating to want to keep going and keep doing more, because you know that it does make a difference. Sometimes when you're in the thick of the details, and you're trying to figure it out, and you're coming across roadblocks or issues, it can be frustrating for sure. When you see that end result come together, and you see that community come together to embrace whatever that end result has been, that's very motivating to just keep going, that it's all been worth it, and it's worth it to step up and keep going on to the next project.
So, do you have any specific goals for the future that are willing to share?
one goal is to have a day off.
Not likely.
No.
Did you look at the calendar? Not
Yeah.
likely.
A lot of it is just a lot of our goals are just to keep going. Sometimes it's just like, we get tired, we burn out, and just like, let's just pack up and go to Mexico and live on the beach. But we know we're not going to do that. We know we can't do that. We just keep going, and we know that there's going to be a need somewhere else. So it's just like, we don't know what that need is right now, but I'm sure we'll find a need somewhere, and we'll just step up and work on that one. So we don't have anything specific, but I'm sure we'll find something for sure.
It's hard to say what a specific goal would be for down the road, because if you had asked us 10 years ago, said, these are all the different things that you're going to be involved with and accomplish, we would have looked at them like they had 3 eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
That we didn't see any of that happening. So when we look back over the last several years at some of the things that we've been able to be a part of and some of the things we've been able to accomplish, makes us really excited for what could be next. So the fact that that future is unknown and we don't know what's coming up next is actually really exciting.
So is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Not oversharing. I don't know if I can think of anything.
Anything you want to revisit?
Do you feel like you have enough to work with?
Oh, yeah.
You
All
tell
good?
us.
Yeah.
You're the ones
I
who've
have
got to
no
work
idea.
with
Like
it.
it's-
From our perspective, we have some wonderful content there to work with, so,
Awesome.
yeah,
Okay,
we're done.
I think we're good.
I can relax now.
Yeah.
Well, do you like having your photos?
Oh.